This is Valley News Live at 10.
Welcome to Valley News Live at 10. I'm Justin Betty.
And I'm Stacy Van Dyke. Take a look at this drone video. A beloved retreat in Becker County has been ruled a total loss after a blaze ripped through their complex for hours today.
Crews from 11 different departments came in to fight the flames. Crews were called to the Maple Log Resort near Callaway, Minnesota shortly after 8:30 this morning. Fire officials say the building's tin roof, its size, as well as the resort's remoteness made the fire very difficult to fight.
We're so far away from water sources other than the lake, just getting the personnel here enough water here, because that water truck alone, you know, is flowing over 1,000 gallons a minute, and it's just very hard to supply that kind of water for this long of a period, this remotely.
Officials tell us that no one was hurt. They still don't know what caused that fire.
Switching gears now, taking a look outside at a beautiful full moon tonight and a pretty nice day behind us. First Alert Storm Team Chief Meteorologist Hutch Johnson has details. Hutch.
Thanks so much. Yes, very close to full moon out there as we head into the nighttime hours. Big changes are ahead. We have some wind in the forecast. We have cold, even a few flakes. We'll have all the details on that, but for now, things are looking pretty good for the evening. And our temperature trend showing that cold that takes hold. So tomorrow, that needle goes up. It's going to be another nice day as we go through your terrific Tuesday. Then after that, well, it's terrific if you like cold temperatures. Now, there is a good look at that just past Hunter's moon out there from our South Fargo location. Just absolutely stunning view with those crystal clear and dry skies. Here is a look at your temperature trend tonight. We will dip down to near 50 degrees during the overnight hours. The south wind that's causing our tower cam to shake just a little bit, that's going to be persistent enough to keep our temperatures up all night long, even up north. So gone are the freezing temperatures for now, but they will return. I'll have hour-by-hour details on a cold front that will move through tomorrow. That could bring a chance of showers for some of us, but will bring cold and wind for all. Details here in just a couple of moments.
All right, thanks, Hutch.
We may think it's getting chilly now, but not much can compare to this. This is 3 years ago today. Valley News Team's Courtney Lockey was stranded for 4 days in Devil's Lake. She got to town Thursday just as the snow started to fall. By Friday night, the storm dumped more than 3 feet of snow with drifts up to 5 feet tall. Devil's Lake completely shut down. Things were so bad, police only responded to life or death calls on the 2 snowmobiles people in town lent them.
Thank goodness that's not the case now. 2 people are dead, 1 other person injured after a crash in Grand Forks. It happened just before 4 this afternoon at the intersection of North 69th Street and 27th Avenue North. Police say a van was struck by a truck. That crash remains under investigation.
At the same time, on the other side of town, a Grand Forks girl was hit by a car. She's recovering at home tonight. It happened in the area of 40th Avenue South and South 20th Street. Police say the girl was on the crosswalk when she was struck by a traveling vehicle going westbound on 40th. The driver was ticketed.
1 man's in the Grand Forks County Jail tonight following a bizarre incident this afternoon. Happened around 3:30. Officers were called to the railroad crossing, the 5400 block of Demers Avenue. They say Roland Reimers wanted to make a citizen's arrest because he says the train was blocking the street. Employees on the train said Reimers was blocking the train from moving and also shooting off some kind of fireworks at them. Reimers was arrested for disorderly conduct. More charges are possible.
18 rape kits from Fargo have been awaiting DNA testing at the North Dakota Crime Lab for more than a year. Fargo police say while the issue lies with the state, they're taking steps to make sure this doesn't continue. Police will double-check cases, work closely with the state lab when they have a lead on a suspect, and dedicate detectives solely to these kind of crimes.
We have a lot of cases that stack up on certain detectives, and we want to put a little bit more emphasis on our sexual assault and family violence, which will help us be able to solve these cases quicker and get to justice for the victims.
Meanwhile, no sexual assault kits awaiting testing are more than a year old in Minnesota, with the exception of some of its 2015 inventory.
A mistake at a West Fargo gas station is costing drivers. There was a fuel mix-up at the PetroServe on Main. People trying to fill up with regular unleaded gas received diesel. Owners say it was a mistake made by the driver of the tanker truck who put the diesel in the station's gas holding tank. The gas station is paying for all of the repair costs. So if this happened to you, experts say, in most cases, your vehicle just won't run, and it would require taking all the fuel out of the tank.
Drain all the diesel fuel out of the gas tank and get all the diesel fuel out of the lines, the fuel lines and the fuel injectors. So basically put fresh gas in there, and it will sputter and not run very well for a little while, but then it will run back to normal.
Experts say it could cost you hundreds of dollars to fix the problem. The owners of the gas station say they were the only ones impacted by this, and this kind of mistake does not happen very often.
A 12-year-old boy is fighting for his life after being shot by his uncle while hunting in Minnesota. Deputies were called to rural Motley yesterday just after 8 a.m. Family was hunting squirrels on public land when the accident happened. The boy was flown to a Twin Cities hospital.
A Democratic candidate endorsed in North Dakota's District 24 House race has decided to drop out of that race. 33-year-old Caitlin Huss was charged with assault last night. Valley City Police were called to Boomer's Corner Keg on East Main Street Friday morning. The man said he'd been assaulted by Huss, claiming she punched him in the face and ripped out some of his hair. In a statement over the weekend, Huss admitted to the situation, saying, quote, "I behaved in a manner unbefitting of my position as a candidate and unbecoming of my own personal standards of myself," end quote. Her name will still appear on the November 8th ballot. It's too late to change that. But Huss is encouraging voters to choose one of the other three candidates. Instead, we have her full statement on the VNL News app.
A woman submitted a report online to Fargo police, and now they're looking for a suspected thief. The Fargo woman says her phone was stolen, then smashed at the windbreak. She says it happened sometime between 11:30 p.m. September 29th and 1 a.m. September 30th after she placed her phone on the bar, then walked away. A bartender later told the group he found the broken phone. If you have any information, contact police. About 1,500 workers at the University of Minnesota are set to strike later this month. Today, leaders at all 5 campuses agreed to the action. The union says it represents workers who prepare food, clean buildings, service dorms, and more. They plan to notify the state and university tomorrow and start the state-mandated cooling-off period. Workers want better pay and employment practices. That strike could happen as early as October 22nd.
Despite progress on the battlefield in its war against Russia today, Ukraine is reeling after a wave of Russian attacks on civilian areas far from the front lines. Charlie Dakota has details.
Russian forces unleashed a deadly, sustained campaign of terror across Ukraine, launching their most powerful long-range weapons in the most widespread assault since the invasion began. Putin's war machine took aim at more than a dozen cities in a coordinated bombardment. Multiple strikes on the capital, Kyiv, in the heart of downtown. Cars erupting in flames on the streets near Maidan Square, blasts that struck in the middle of rush hour. A smoldering crater near a children's playground. A terrified young woman on social media describing one explosion captured the ferocious fireball of the next, miraculously appearing to escape serious injury. The Ukrainian president saying they seek panic and chaos. They have 2 targets, our energy sector and our people. Russian retaliation for blowing up the bridge leading from Russia to Crimea. President Vladimir Putin today calling it a terrorist attack, warning of even worse reprisals if it's repeated, not only disrupting a key Russian supply line, but taking a direct swipe at Putin, who personally drove across the bridge at its official opening in 2018. The payback sent Ukrainians scrambling for shelter for the first time in months. Residents in Kyiv taking refuge in the city's subways, again in fear, but singing folk songs in unity and defiance. Charlie Daggett, CBS News, Kryvyi Rih, Ukraine.
In other news, we're just over 1 week now until the Minnesota governor's debate on Valley News Live, featuring current Governor Tim Walz and challenger Scott Jensen. The debate is next Tuesday. It's October 18th from 7 till 8, live from Rochester, Minnesota. You can watch, though, on KX4. I'll be one of the journalists on the panel asking questions that night. You can send me question ideas at my email address, justin.betty, it's B-E-T-T-I, @valleynewslive.com.
And on October 27th, country superstar Carrie Underwood will be playing at the Alaris Center in Grand Forks. 6 lucky winners will get tickets to her concert from Valley News Live. The grand prize, though, a pair of tickets and a meet and greet with Carrie. All you have to do is go to our website, valleynewslive.com, find the contest tab, and it'll lead you from there. Registration closes the 18th, so don't wait. We'll announce the winners live on the 19th.